Good morning, everyone. I'm going to do the first part of our central angles and arc measures today. So follow along with the videos. You can pause, go back. You can always send me questions through Google Classroom, or you can email me directly if there's something that you need further explanation on. So to start out, first of all, if we're talking about central angles and arc measurements, we need to remember that if possible, we want to find the measurements first. The big key to central angles and arc measures is this right here. If it's central, it's talking about from the center. So this makes it easy because if it's a central angle, just like it says over here, it's an angle with its vertex at the center of the circle, and the two sides are radii, which is plural for radius. It's got R-A-D-I-I. So we have our center right here. These are both radius. The sum of all the central angles in the circle is 360 degrees. So if you think about it, if you go all the way around the circle, and you say, oh, you're going to turn 360, and you turn all the way around, that's what we're talking about. So if we're talking about this one, we have all the way around this circle right here is 360 degrees. If I wanted to say that the angle here is the central angle, an example of what we're talking about, a central angle is going to be angle ABC. Just like we've done before with all of our angles, be sure that you follow your letters in order. This is extremely important when we're talking about these arcs, to follow your letters in order, because you have minor arcs and major arcs that you looked at on that first assignment. So if we look over here, this from A to C, this is a minor arc. Minor meaning smaller. So if you want to make a little note here, this is smaller. This one along the outside, the other way, is major. So if I just said ACD, and I'm not talking about an order here, I don't know if I'm talking about if you go ADC, or if you go ACD, or the angle ABC. So you need to read very carefully about the order that we're talking about. Because if I had a point over here and I said arc ADC, I'm talking about the big one over here. If I just said AC or angle ABC, I'm talking about the minor arc. So be careful you follow your letters in order. So the degree of the arc, this makes it easy, formed by the endpoints of the central angle are equal to the degree of the central angle. So whatever this measurement is, this measurement is. So if AC, notice it has two letters because that's going the short way, minor, is 84. The major arc, which is the big one, remember they've added up to 360. So if I say 360 minus 84, I get 276. So my minor arc is 276. My major, sorry. Minor is 74, major is 276. Okay, so let's look at a couple of these examples here. Find your angle measurements first. We've talked before about vertical angles a long time ago. So if these cross at the center, if this one's 21, this one's 21, this is half our circle. Well, half our circle is 180. So if I said 180 minus 21, I'm going to get 159. So both of these angles are 159. So let's always try to find our angles first. Then you can look at the arcs. So this one is two letters. So we're talking about the short one. It's the same as the angle that starts at the center. So we have 21 degrees. If I want to go to angle JNM, we just found that because we said 180 minus 21, so we have 159. The opposite one over here If we want to look at KNL, it's also a vertical angle, so it's also 159. But the next one we're looking for is KL. So this one is going from, not the long way around, there's no letters in between. We want the short part, so we want to go the short way. From here to here is 159. Now follow your letters. JKM. J to K all the way around to M. So if I'm going to go from J to K to M, I have to go in this order. So we're adding 21 plus 159 plus 21 again. If we add all those up, we get 301. So we went from J to K to M. Same thing with this one. If we go MKL, so we're going to start at M. We're going to go all the way around to K and all the way around to L. So basically we want the whole thing except this little part that's 21. So you can just say, I want the whole thing minus that one part of 21, which gives me 339. So find your angle measurements first. Okay, next one here on number 3. If we talk about what measurements that we have, this is 90. So that means this one's 90, which means this one's 90, and this whole part is 90. So again, we want to do our angle measurements first. And so if we look at this measurement and we say 90 minus 34, we end up with 56. So this one right here is 56. So the first thing we want to do is we want to find our measurements first, and then we can find our arc measures. So remember, this one's short. So from C to D, not the long way around, the short way around. From C to D, we simply have 90. I'm going from F to D, we want the shortest way from F to D. So I want the shortest way from F to D. I'm going from here to here. So we have 90 plus 34, which gives me 124. Okay, this one has 3 letters. So we want to go the long way around. D to C to F. So we're adding 90 plus 90 plus 56. So we end up with 236. This one's got 3 letters, so it's also long way around. So we're going to start at G. We're going to say from G all the way around to D, all the way around to F. So we want the whole arc except 56. So we can just say 360 minus 56 if we want to. And that's going to leave us with 304. So that's how you're going to find your angle measurements, okay? So go back and look at those. Try 2 and 4, and then look on your own, and then look at your note sheet and see if you can determine what your answers are, because you can check those before you do your assignment. And let's move on and work a couple of the problems. Okay, so on number 5, remember we want to find our angle measurements first, and we're given 26. So if this one's 26, this side's 26. The whole side of the circle is 180. So if I come over here to the side and I say 180 minus 26 gives me 154. So these two angles, they're vertical angles, so they're the same. Those are 154. Okay, so think about the one that we want. we're looking at this arc that's from R to S. It's the same as 154. So that means these two are equal to each other. So I'm going to say 15x minus 26 equals 154. We've solved a lot of equations this year, so I'm not going to write down every single part of that. But if we add our 26 to both sides, we get 180. If we divide by 15, we get 12. It simply asks us for x, so I don't have to plug it back in. I'm done. So these were equal because this was a central angle. We found it by subtracting from 180, and then we set those equal and solve for x. Code number 7, we don't even have to find our angle measurements. We're not given any to start out with. We don't have a right angle, but I do know that these are vertical angles right here. So whatever this angle is, this one's the same. So these two have to be set equal. 8x plus 12 equals 10x minus 22. I'm going to move my 8x over here, subtract from both sides. Then I'm going to move 22 over, so I'm adding. Remember, add 22, subtract 8x. And so we end up with 2x equals 34. Divide by your 2. And x is 17. Now this one wants to fill us to actually find some of the angle measurements. So our first blank is, we know that x is 17. If we want to know what AD is, remember it's a short way. So from A to D is 8x plus 12. So if I say 8 times x plus 12, put in your calculator. And remember, as far as your calculators, you can use a couple of apps that are online. I used FreeGraph Calculator, which seems to be the easiest one to use. But for most of these, you don't even have to have a graphing calculator. You can just use the calculator on your phone. Okay, from C to D, if I know that this one is 148, remember we're subtracting from 180. So 180 minus 148 is giving me 32. So the short run from C to D is 32. And then from B to D to C, I'm following the letters, B, D, C. We already know that this one is 148. So basically I'm simply saying 360 minus 148 gives us 212. So we set them equal first. We found out x was 17. Then we plugged x in here and found 148. We subtracted from 180 to get 32. And then to find just one part, we said 360, the whole thing, minus 148. And that's how we came up with our answers. Okay, I'm going to help you set these last two that I want to go over today on the back. This section right here, half the circle equals 180. So all we have to do is say 5x plus 23 equals 17x minus 41. Sorry, plus 17x minus 41 equals 180. So if we add those all together, we end up with 22x minus 18 equals 180, or 22x equals 198. So x is 9. So then if you fill in the parts that you're looking for, we end up with 9, 68 degrees, 112, and 248. Kind of a funny looking 8 there. But the key is that this whole side has to equal 180 degrees right here. This one, remember the whole circle is 270. I mean, it's 360, and this is 90. Sorry, I can't talk this morning. So if this is 90, I'm going to say 360, the whole thing, minus 90 gives me 270. So if I'm giving this amount, These are the parts I'm giving, not that one. All of this has to equal 270. So we're going to add 8x plus 21x minus 12 plus 10x plus 9 equals 270. That gives us 39x equals 273 and x equals 7. Then you can go back and plug x into each one of these and add up the parts that they're asking you for and come up with your answers. So we have 7, 135, 146, 79, and 304. So think about it. If you're trying to find this one right here, VXW, you're going from V to X to W. So if you knew that 8 times 7 is 56, then all you're doing, because you're going to plug this in, you're just plugging the X into each one of those. So if you know that's 56, this one's simply going to be 360 minus 56. And then we get 304. Okay, I'll do a video on the second part of this later. I want you to try some of those problems and contact me if you have questions. Thank you.